Well, Matt Gaetz was sending text messages to a minor, enticing that minor to take trips with him, according to the new allegation based on an investigation that is already underway. Let's put up the picture full mass. Back and forth, once again, is back on the table. Multiple sources have told ABC News Congressional House Ethics investigators have obtained text messages allegedly showing a few months after first joining Congress, the Florida representative, Matt Gaetz, posed a question to this minor who at the time had received payments for sexual activity from Gaetz' then very close friend, Joel Greenberg, to join him and others on a 3-day trip to the Florida Keys, May of 2017. It is important to note that while the article will refer to the individual as a woman, at the time of the text messages, the individual, the person in question, was in fact a minor, a child, okay? All right, now, a few years ago, Matt Gaetz went on Tucker Carlson's show in order to defend himself and decided to remind Tucker that if he gets jammed up, Tucker will get jammed up. Here it is.
The interview with Tucker Carlson at times got uncomfortable, with Gaetz suggesting that the talk show host had dinner with Gaetz and a woman who could be at the center of the investigation by the FBI into Gaetz' conduct. Carlson said he did not remember the woman or the dinner.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But I would like to know who. So they're saying there is a 17-year-old girl who you had a relationship with. Is that true? And who are they? Who is this girl? What are they talking about, the New York Times?
The person doesn't exist. I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false.
Even Carlson left the interview sounding confused.
You just saw our Matt Gaetz interview. That was one of the weirdest interviews I've ever conducted.
Today, the most powerful Republican in the House, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, called the allegations serious, but said he was waiting to learn more.
And learn more we have. Now, the hypocrisy of Matt Gaetz cannot be dismissed from day one. In that interview with Tucker Carlson, he literally reminds Tucker that a young lady he brought to dinner, talking about Matt Gaetz, is probably the person being referenced. And then Matt Gaetz throws Tucker Carlson under the bus and says, hey, you remember, you were there. Tucker Carlson says, no, I don't remember. They're saying 17-year-old girl. And then Matt Gaetz says, she doesn't exist. Wait a minute, Matt. You just said that Tucker Carlson knew who they were referring to. And then you said the person does not exist. Damn, son. You know you done messed up, don't you? All right, in the alleged text messages described exclusively to ABC News, the then freshman congressman appeared to message a woman, at that time a minor, who ABC News is not identifying, asking if she would fly on a private plane to the Florida Keys for a trip with Gaetz, 3 other women, and 1 other man. The 1 other man could be his buddy who is currently incarcerated. Quote, hey, any interest in flying on a private plane to the Keys, May 19th through 21st? Gaetz allegedly wrote to the woman, who was older than 21 at the time, according to multiple sources familiar with the messages. Gaetz then allegedly said that the trip would feature 2 guys, 4 girls, a very high quality adventurous group, according to the messages, which have previously not been reported on. Now, we've heard the accusations of cocaine use and everything else on these planes. There's more. Yeah, I'm in, is the response from this individual. According to the text, Matt Gaetz allegedly replied, fantastic, as is true with all time you spend with me. It'll be fun and chill. You have a passport? ? So according to sources familiar with the events, they told ABC News the woman ultimately declined in 2017. The messages, if accurate, mark the first known example of alleged direct private communication between the Florida congressman and a woman who is a one-time close associate of Joel Greenberg, remember the tax commissioner in Florida, told investigators he had been paying to have sex with other men, according to documents and interviews with multiple sources. It's unknown if Gaetz knew that Greenberg had allegedly been paying the woman in such a manner. This is the sex trafficking dynamic. I will get into the other dynamic in a minute. A spokesperson of Gaetz told ABC News, quote, Representative Gaetz has no knowledge of these activities by Mr. Greenberg and was not involved in them. Representative Gaetz has never paid for sex. Representative Gaetz does not know anything about the woman you're referencing, though he takes thousands of selfies each year. Members of the House Ethics Committee declined to comment to ABC News. According to the narrative, they are reviewing all of the data available. So a photo of Gaetz and the woman has also been turned over to the committee, according to sources briefed on the matter. According to the sources, the photo, which is dated May 19, 2017, shows the woman smiling in a selfie next to Gaetz, who was wearing a shirt that reads, quote, if you think research is expensive, try disease. A quote from health activist Mary W. Lasker. According to bank and Venmo records reviewed by ABC News, the woman had previously received multiple payments from Mr. Greenberg, once again, the associate of Matt Gaetz. Multiple sources tell ABC News were for the woman to have sex at parties with Greenberg's friends. Once again, noted cocaine use based on the narrative that is separate from this story. All right, these things we have to piece together. There's more. All right, put him up full mask. All right, you see this fella? What is he doing with his time right now? Greenberg, former Seminole County tax collector, best friend of Matt Gaetz, reached a deal with federal investigators on May 2021, in which he actually pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty to multiple federal crimes, including sex trafficking of a minor. Let me say that again. Sex trafficking of a minor. This means to me, and keep the picture up, that whenever this started, while she may be an adult today, or at the time of even Greenberg pleading guilty, she was not an adult during the engagement of the sexual or initial sexual encounters. He pleaded guilty to trafficking a minor for the purposes of sex. Also, guilty to introducing the minor to other men for the purposes of sex. And the charge lays out when she was underage, end quote. All right. He was the top witness in the Justice Department's years-long investigation into allegations that Gaetz had engaged in sex trafficking at the time with the same minor who was the victim in the sex trafficking case to which Greenberg pleaded guilty. The probe concluded with the DOJ's decision not to bring charges against Gaetz. I'm going to explain why I believe that happened. The House Ethics Committee decided at that time, when DOJ dropped it, to open its own probe into Matt Gaetz. This happened April 2021. But they decided to pause their investigation while the Justice Department completed its probe. The Ethics Committee then reopened the probe this past summer. Gaetz has long denied all wrongdoing. The Florida congressman has blasted the Ethics Committee, saying its efforts are part of a plan by former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to retaliate against Gaetz for helping remove McCarthy from his post late last year. House investigators have recently ramped up their probe of Gaetz, which ABC News previously reported is looking into allegations that he paid for sex as well as allegations about drug use and potential lobbying violations, according to sources familiar with the committee's work. The DOJ examined related allegations in their years-long probe before deciding not to bring charges. Now, the irony of this cannot be overstated. During the time that the DOJ was looking into Matt Gaetz, guess who served on the committee that funded and provided oversight for the DOJ? Matt Gaetz did. Matt Gaetz was on the committee of oversight, providing leadership and oversight for the same investigative body that was investigating him. All of a sudden, his friend gets arrested, his friend gets charged, his friend pleads guilty, and Matt Gaetz gets every charge, basically, poof. It vanishes. Nothing happens. No indictment, nothing. They just say, we are no longer probing Matt Gaetz. Now, Ethics Committee, they're back at the table, looks as if they actually have evidence. How do you think they got this evidence? How do you think evidence gets to a Congressional Ethics Committee? That's intentional conduct. That means people intentionally provided information to the committee in order for them to investigate Matt Gaetz, and the committee does work with noted investigators. All right, Mr. Mayor, hell of a twist. McCarthy said it best. He said Matt Gaetz should be in prison. He said that on the Republican side. What say you?
Listen, we know that this story is as sticky as it seemed to be.
Yeah.
And Gaetz is a slivering fool who we knew was passing information to Trump administration while Trump administration. So this is, I can't wait to get to the bottom of it. I do believe there's more information coming out, and people should also not confuse the fact that the DOJ refused to put charges, a press charge at that moment, does not mean that they will not come back and press charges. So they shouldn't get those two things convoluted. Yeah. Listen, Gaetz and his friend, even if you're not guilty of this so-called sex scheme, why were you there when he was making fake IDs? And didn't you have an obligation
That's right.
to report that fact as a congressman?
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah, listen, he has an obligation just as a regular dude who's pretty complicit with the operation, right? So we'll see. I think they're going to also get him on his illegal lobbying, getting certain deals done on these particular trips outside of the scope of fair practices under the congressional rules. So we're going to follow this as it develops.